Okay, good morning, everyone. Let's get started. So you know that, right? What is that we are going to learn? Yes? Okay. Before we start the session, I have a few questions for you. I hope all of you are good with advanced Excel. Yes? Excel formulas, pivot tables, charts, right? What is data? Data types in Excel. Yeah. Because this is very much important to learn SQL and Power BI. Most of the people, they think that they can directly learn Power BI, but that is not possible. That is not recommended also. The reason being, directly trying to understand SQL databases and table structures may not be that easy without Excel fundamentals. Okay. So first of all, you need to be good with Excel, and then you can easily learn SQL and then Power BI. There is some dependency. That's the reason we included SQL also to learn Power BI. So I'll show you that step by step. Right, before we start the session, I would like to hear it from you. So what is that you are currently doing, right? Your name, if you are working somewhere, what's your experience, what kind of role you're into, if you're a fresher, from which education background you're coming, okay? So quickly, so just introduce yourself. Go ahead, please.
Hi sir, this is Sunil from Bangalore. I'm working in State Street as a assistant manager. I planning to take this, PL 300 certification. I know the how to build this dashboards through Excel and Power BI. I want to know, in-depth knowledge in Power BI.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Others?
Hi Kishore. Hello everyone.
Hi.
Hi, this is Satish and I'm working for Optum. I'm currently working as a client service specialist. As I already learned Power BI and Excel, in a row, I'm continuing with Excel, SQL, sorry.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yep. Who else?
Hi, this is Mahesh. I am presently working in an MNC as a fund accountant. I want to switch my career into data analyst, so I am attending this session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Hey, this is Sandhya. I worked in the data analyst in Vela Technologies until 2024. I got married and moved to US. So yeah, so I am work. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. We have offline participants here. Yeah.
I'm good, man. I'm working as a team leader in before. I want to switch my career in the Excel, like in analyst.
Data analyst position. Okay, cool. Then thank you.
Hello, Vignesh here. I've completed my BBA second year, now moving to BBA third year. I'm looking forward to learn SQL and Power BI as I've learned Excel through Excelytics.
Okay, you completed already Excel course here. Okay, thanks for that. Okay, I see a few more participants. That's okay. Fine then. So let me just take you through about Excelytics. I'm from Excelytics. It's been like 11 plus years. We are into this data analytics and data science, different training programs. We believe that data analytics is universal. Any company you take, irrespective of the kind of operations they do, but they generate a lot of data, and someone needs to be there to analyze the data and to give them the right direction, right? So data analytics is everywhere, just not limited to only finance, right? Most of the people, you would have heard financial analytics, HR analytics, but there are, like, in other companies also, other kind of operations also, they generate a lot of data, and someone should be there to analyze it. Yeah. So different courses we offer, different certifications we offer. Someone mentioned PL 300, which is the Power BI Data Analyst Associate certification. Right after this course, after completing SQL and Power BI, you can even go for PL 300 certification. If you're interested, let us know. There is a separate material for it. Of course, a good number of topics we cover that come from the PL 300, from the PL 300 examination standpoint. But the challenge is that the questions are like little tricky, and the options, unless you practice with this tool a lot, right? You can't remember each and every option. It is not a project-based exam, PL 300. Okay, so you will get optional MCQs, multiple choice questions, and also drag and drop features. There won't be any application interface. So that means without looking at the application, you should be able to remember the interface and the steps also. So that requires some time. So that's the reason we created a separate material around it to clear the PL 300 certification. We'll talk more about it, the certification, towards the end of Power BI course. Okay, so these are the different courses that we offer. I'm Kishore, and it's been 16 plus years. I've been into this data analytics reporting and process automation. Currently, I'm working with the AI related things. I'm MCT, Microsoft Certified Trainer, MCP Microsoft Certified Professional, Deloitte Faculty Excellence Certified. I'm PL 300 Data Analyst Associate Certified. Actually, PL 300 is a every year renewal. Okay, so it has a 1 year, what is that, validity, and after that you will have to retake the test. It's like a renewal test. I actually forgot to retake the test, and I had to write the exam once again. Okay, I can say that I'm twice PL 300 certified. Okay, so the other certifications I got, like Excel Expert, Word Expert, Access Expert, PowerPoint, Outlook Specialist, and that certification list is too big, and I was able to accommodate a few here. I worked with different domains. I worked with revenue cycle management, US healthcare, financial data analysis, IT assets analytics, contact center analytics, manufacturing, and different clients I worked with. I work with right from Excel, macros, SQL, Crystal reports, SAP BI, Power BI, Tableau, ClickView earlier when I was working, but now it is ClickSense. Different tools, different RPA tools, Macro Express, Win Automation. Now we have Power Automate, right? Application development, the Power Apps I work with, and different tools and technologies. And don't think I'm from a technology background. I'm from BCom MBA Finance. What I'm trying to tell you is that you may be coming from any kind of a background, and you can easily learn data analytics. Okay. Just that logical thinking and that right approach should be there to solve a data related question. Okay, so we'll go through different things there in this particular training. I'm currently working with Excelytics. Earlier, I was with Quadratics as a senior consultant. I was with Deloitte as an assistant manager, working with the reporting analytics team. I was with United Health Group as a process automation expert. Yeah, that's a long journey again for me. Right, so that's briefly about me. And coming to this training program, there is a reason why we created this SQL and Power BI. Someone who's good with already Power BI should need to, learn SQL as well. The reason being, let me just take you through this slide, why SQL is needed. Okay. Excel, yes, for the reporting purpose, we use Excel. We create different kind of dashboards, slicers, pivot tables, pivot charts, and so many things. But that is not enough if you want to get into data analytics, right? You also need to learn Power BI and SQL combination. Okay, a Tableau or SQL combination. Any one data visualization tool, but all these visualization tools, they require SQL. Okay, I'll also prove it why. Yeah, before we actually get into some technical subject, and if you have any questions or expectations, let me know. And so that, whenever a particular example is discussed, I'll try to cover your points also in that example. If you have any expectations, anyone here? Otherwise, I'll just proceed with my flow. Okay, I consider that as a no, and let's get started. So data analytics are reporting profiles, okay, are reporting analysts, are a data analyst position. These kind of roles, we use different reporting applications. It could be Excel most of the times, right? Power BI or SAP Business Intelligence or Business Objects or Tableau, or it could be any kind of a tool, right? Using these tools, we try to create powerful visuals, right? With the drill down capabilities like slicers and so many other things we can create, right? So let me show you an example of a report. Right. If I show you some data like this, and if I ask you, okay, what's going on in the business? You can't say anything. But if I transform this data into a meaningful dashboard like this, then you can easily say that, okay, each state-wise what's happening, each city-wise what's happening, you know, or country-wise what's happening. All these things you can easily find out, right? With all those cards, right? Selections, right? Only a particular region, right? Only a particular segment, or for all the years, all the regions for a particular segment. All these things, quickly you can analyze this data. So this is what we should do as a data analyst. Okay. Business gives us the different KPIs, the key performance indicators, and we need to do different kind of calculations. In Excel also you write the formulas, right? In Power BI, we write the DAX functions to get the numbers like this. Okay. And then try to visualize it in the form of a report or a dashboard like this. This is what we need to do. To build these things, we depend on the reporting layer applications. It could be any kind of a thing. Just now I showed an example of Power BI, right? But if you look at this report, what is what is it we need if you want to create a report? What is it we need? The very first thing. Data is needed, correct? Data is needed. So this data can be there in Excel sheets, in CSV files, in PDF files, or on a web page, in any place, or maybe sometimes it is there in databases also, right? But if you look at any company, okay, any big company or a mid-scale company, they don't maintain their data in the form of Excel sheets or CSVs. Where do they store the data? They store the data in a database. So that means we should learn how to interact with the database and get the required amount of data and then create powerful dashboards like this or powerful reports like this. Okay. So if you want to learn Power BI, SQL is also needed, because once you step into this role, you also need to start interacting with SQL. Okay, SQL and using any of these databases. There are different types of databases available: SQL database, Oracle database, Sybase, Teradata, DB2, whatnot. So many things. All these things are different databases. And here we go. Let me explain you why SQL is needed. And most of you may have questions around what is SQL and what is SQL database. Are they same? Okay. Try to understand. To create a report in Excel or Power BI or in Tableau, what is that we need? We need data. Data in the real time, usually they're in databases. If you want to interact with the database, you need to talk to the database in its language, right? I cannot simply ask a database, okay, get me the last 6 months data. No, I need to use a language. What is that language? Structured query language. Right? I need to pass a command via this language, structured query language, and it hits the database server, and server understands the requirement, goes to the physical database, and it gets us the required amount of data into our reporting layer. Okay. So usually you see different types of databases in the real time. It could be Oracle databases, SQL Server databases, Teradata, DB2, IBM Server DB2, or so many things. We'll get into the technical stuff, but understand that if you want to create a report, you need the data. Data is there in the databases. And if you want to interact with the database, you need a common language, which is SQL. And we write a query and we get the required amount of data, and then we create a powerful report like this. Understood? Right. Perfect. So why we made this as SQL and Power BI combination? Let me show you. Most of the people may be thinking, I want to get into Power BI developer role. So let me just ask, just in Power BI, in Google, I just type Power BI in Hyderabad, Power BI roles in Hyderabad. Let's take Hitachi, okay? You see, of course, it is asking for Power BI SQL, but let's take any other. It simply says only Power BI. But if you look at this, you see that creation of Power BI and Excel dashboard. What is the role? Power BI role. But what are they expecting? Someone should be able to work with both Power BI and Excel. You see that? It's a Power BI role, but that requires Excel also, right? E and Y. Let's see this. Qualification. Okay, you see that data warehousing and ETL related. SQL, right? Power BI, when you look at Power BI alone, it may not give you so much, okay? You will have to have other application skills also, especially Excel and SQL language, okay? And these guys are expecting, I was talking about a PL 300 certification. It's a Microsoft Power BI certification, right? Did they mention any package range there by any chance? No. But yeah, you can randomly open any of these things, you know, Capgemini. Just doesn't have proper points here. Let's take LTI Mindtree. You see that? Role is business intelligence consultant and looking for Power BI and along with SQL. And usually they also mention Excel, right? So when it is showing a Power BI role, don't think learning Power BI is enough. You will have to have some idea about SQL and Excel also. You can randomly open anything and you can see all those job descriptions. I'm just randomly opening all these things, okay? Yeah, having, clearing that certification also helps you a lot because there are only a very few PL 300 certified professionals at this point. If you are interested, I can also guide you how to get PL 300 certification as well. Okay. So different roles are there, but you can randomly open any of these things. And I'm very much sure you will see, just it may be showing you Power BI developer as a role, but yeah, you see that RCM or Power BI, and this requires SQL as well, right? So it's always a, you know, a combination Excel, SQL, and Power BI, right? A few of you have already completed Excel sessions. Now we are into SQL Power BI. A few of you completed Excel and Power BI. Now we are into this SQL sessions. What is it? Reporting analytics, Tableau, Power BI, SQL. Same. Azure SQL. I'll talk about what is Azure, right? Yeah, so almost same like Tableau or Power BI, SQL Server. And here also we are going to learn SQL Server only. Okay. Fine then, a good number of opportunities are there, right? All these things are the, I think, recent ones, if I'm not wrong. 6 days ago, 4 days ago, 13 hours ago, right? You can actually try out all these things. Yeah, once you complete this course. So understand that why Power BI requires SQL, because if you want to get the data is there in some database. And if you want to interact with the database and get it, then you need to use a language. Okay. Fine then. So this is the material package we are going to use for both SQL and Power BI. Yeah. Coming to the first session, SQL. Let me just take you through the course contents. The moment we hear about SQL, we think we need to learn each and everything in SQL. Not needed actually. We have customized this course, called SQL for Data Analytics and Reporting. Right. Usually the one that you see is a SQL DBA, the database administrator or database developer kind of courses. Okay. That is not needed for us. The reason being, I'll tell you. The first thing, usually in any business context, if you take, business comes with a requirement. There will be business analysts and all, they gather the requirement and they talk to the technical team and they start designing the database. That's the first stage. Once the designing of the database is ready, then they create the front-end application, back-end database, and they integrate and they give it to the end users. The end user's job is to start inputting the data, right? So that is the second stage, data entry. The third stage, the ETL developers, they come into picture. They gather all the data from the different databases and they get that into a data warehouse, okay? And all the data is now located in one place. Now, the next stage is our job. As the data is available in a data warehouse, we need to connect to the data warehouse and start creating so many reports, KPIs, and different kind of visual analytics we'll create. That's our stage. And for that, there are certain queries are needed, not everything. The database developer related queries, we don't require. Data entry queries, we don't require. The data ETL related queries, we don't require. We require only the data extraction queries. You may get a question like, it is always recommended to learn everything, right? Yes or no? Even though you don't use it, it's recommended to learn that, right? Is it a true statement? You don't use it, but it is recommended to learn those things.
School point of view, it's correct. Like in the school, we learn so many subjects, but in the end, we choose something of our own. But learning everything is also kind of important, so that you have some knowledge about little bit which is left.
Okay, coming to this one, SQL, especially for analytics and reporting, you need to focus more on the select queries. Nothing but how to extract the data. How the database is designed, just to have some basic idea about it is enough. You no need to get into more technicalities of it, okay? But having that idea, little idea about how the databases are designed and deployed, that idea is enough. But you no need to design any database from the scratch, because that's not our role. Even if you practice today, spending like hours together, but once you get into the real time, you don't get that opportunity to work with those techniques. You get the point? And slowly you will anyways forget. If you don't use that, you will forget. It's as simple as that, right? There is a reason why we have come up with this particular course. When we are talking about SQL, everyone tries to learn everything, but that is not needed. Even if you learn it, you don't use it. If you don't use it, you will forget it. So that means there is no point. But having some idea about the database designing and how to enter the data and how the ETL is done, some kind of an idea is enough, but our focus should be more on the data extraction. There are so many things, but we really no need to spend so much time on that. Okay, it's a customized course only designed for someone who is aspiring to get into data analytics. Okay, so in this process, we definitely try to learn a few of the fundamentals, like what is database, what is RDBMS, what is SQL Server. We are going to use SQL Server 2022 here. Of course, the course content is showing 2017 version there, but we are going to download 2022 SQL Server. We are going to download our client SSMS, and then we start working with the database and the client application SSMS. And we try to create the database. Just now you told me like you don't need to learn creation of the database, designing of the database, right? This is only just for our understanding. We will learn this, how the databases are designed, and how we can create or drop or backup the databases. We'll talk about that just to get some idea, but we don't get into so much technicalities there. And then we go to TSQL, Transact SQL. There are different variants. I'll take you through the different variants of SQL, and we learn the TSQL commands, okay, which is for the Microsoft SQL Server. Right. And then what is TSQL? What are the different types of commands? DDL, DML, DQL, DCL, TCL commands. We'll do that. And we design a table. But again, remember this, designing of the table is not our job. But you get a question, if it is not our job, why do I need to learn it? Because though you don't design the table, at the time of data extraction, you need to interact with table only. That means you need to understand the definition of a table, right? And the keys and the constraints applied on the tables, we need to learn them. We don't need to design them, but we need to understand the definition of the tables, okay? So that's the reason we spend some time there. We work with the different data types. We create a table. We store the data into it using the data manipulation language, insert, update, delete, truncate kind of commands we use. Then finally, we get into our subject, DQL, data querying language. This is where we learn select queries, and in select itself, there are so many things, so many conditions, so many things you can include in the select statement itself. And we also use the built-in functions like this string functions, mathematical functions, different aggregate functions and all. Because at the time of getting the data, we also need to write a few functions. In Excel also, we did the same thing. We have so much of data, but to summarize it, we aggregated it using different kind of functions. So similar kind of functions are available here. And then we move on to joins. You would have heard these things: joins, left join, right join, inner join, outer join, right cross join, different kind of joins we discussed. Set operators, union, all, intersect, except, different kind of set operators we talk about. Subqueries we learn. Views, one more very, very important point. We learn about views also. View is a virtual table. We'll discuss that, why the virtual tables are needed, and what kind of security can be applied on the views. We'll discuss that. And security related things, how to create the user. Of course, this should be done by the server administrators who should be able to access what, but we'll just try to understand this. And also the transaction management. I can give you a simple example about transaction management. You try to book online tickets, right? Yes. Let's say you're booking a bus ticket. Yeah. You select a seat and you go for the payment, right? So the same seat is available for all the users, yes or no? But you selected it and you proceeded to the next step, which is for the payment making. And tell me, while this transaction is in progress, will the other customer be able to select the same seat? But that's not booked, right? That's not yet booked. That's still in progress, right? It appears as if it is booked. You can't select. But just in case if the payment is failed, let's assume, then the transaction will be rolled back. Nothing but the seat status will become again available after some time. There will be badges running in the background to check whether all the transactions are successful or not, right? And yeah, that is a technique: rollback, commit, right? These kind of techniques are used. And also, let's say you are doing a GPay transaction and somehow it failed. Okay. Will the amount be automatically reversed into your account, or do you need to give a call to the customer care?
Automatically, but some business days.
Certain business days. Why? Because they will have to check all those things, right? And once everything is verified, then only they reverse that amount. You got the point? So do you think like someone will be manually monitoring it? Every day a good millions of transactions are happening, right? Don't think that someone will be there manually verifying whether this account, is debited, the other account is credited. No one can do that. Transaction management only. There if everything is successful, we commit the transaction. If something went wrong, we roll back the transaction. Okay, so those kind of techniques are there. Along with this, I'll also cover a few more points like stored procedures, which is not there, but I'll cover that. Window functions, okay. CTEs, common table expressions. Okay, these things I'll cover. Something like an add-on, because these days we are hearing for the data analysts also these kind of questions are coming. So we are just covering those points also. How to use the CTEs, how to use the window functions and stored procedures. Okay. So is this clear? Got some idea? Of course, I'll take you through step by step, point by point. Okay. All these different topics here. And then we have right. Power BI after SQL. Initially, we start with SQL. Once we are done with SQL, and the SQL sessions, are about 11 to 12 days. Okay. That covers all the select related queries. Okay. And also the other topics as well, but just to create some awareness, that's it. Okay. And once we are done with these sessions, then we'll move on to Power BI. So in Power BI, you will be learning right from the basics. What is business intelligence? Why do we need to create the reports? Why data visualization is important? What kind of tools are there in the market? What are the competitors to Power BI. So different kind of things, what kind of licenses are there. We'll create, different types of sample reports, and then how to install Power BI in your system also. It's like everything, installation process is part of the training program itself. So you don't need to worry if I'm showing you some application at this point you may not have in your computer, but you can install that. Okay, I'll show you the steps how to install. And then we try to get the data from different sources. We work with Excel files, CSVs, PDFs, web pages, folders, different kind of sources. And then how to append the queries, merge the queries. So many topics are there. Okay. And then data modeling, how to create the relationship, sorting, ad hoc tables, date dimension table, right? So many different concepts in data modeling. Data visualization, there we discuss different types of visuals. Okay, most of the people have this question, which type of visual to be used when? Okay, so we have a guide for it, data visualization. If you can practice this guide, then you can choose the right type of visual. Okay, so if you would like to show a comparison over the time with non-cyclical data with many periods, we use the line chart. We'll discuss all these points at the data visualization, right? Then you will understand which type of chart to be used, for the different data sets. Okay, so different kind of charts are there. And another interesting thing is that Power BI has custom visuals also. You can download them. You can download custom visuals from the app source, and they're like very, very effective visuals. We'll talk about that. Slicers, filters, parameters, different things are there. DAX, a few of you would have heard this, which is data analysis expressions. We write a good number of DAX functions. In Excel, we have Excel functions, right? In Power BI, we have DAX functions, very much similar. And finally, how to publish the reports onto Power BI service so that anyone from anywhere, they can open and they can work with the reports. Okay. So if you look at this app.powerbi.com, which is Power BI service, and we cover both Power BI desktop and Power BI service, how to publish and how to manage things. Okay, if you go to this, something like if I open any of the recent batches, we would have published different reports, something like this. Yeah. Show the line chart, show the map chart, go to the next page, right? And I want to do a drill down on Florida, just do a right click and a drill through details page about Florida, how the sales are, go back to the main page, right? And also show the line chart. When you hover the cursor, it shows the tooltip like this with, right? Different techniques are there in the visualization. Excel can do only, a few things, but Power BI can do so many things. Okay, so many custom visuals can be downloaded and so many things are there. We'll discuss all these things, okay, both in Power BI desktop and Power BI service. Power BI service is nothing but the cloud server. We can publish our reports there and directly just log in here and you can access your reports. Also, I'll cover Power BI mobile, how you can view your dashboards inside Power BI mobile, okay? So this is going to take about a good 21 days training, okay, to cover all these things, both Power BI desktop and Power BI service, okay? Got some idea about the course outline? What is that you are going to learn? Yeah, a few of you are here to learn only SQL. A few of you are here to learn both SQL and Power BI. So it is somewhere around a 1.5 month, okay, duration total. Every day we run, only weekdays, Monday to Friday, okay? We usually start around 7:40, okay? Try to join by 7:40. And then, coming to the certifications, SQL, I'll let you know which type of a certification that you can do, but there is no Microsoft certification at this point. Earlier, we used to have this SQL Microsoft certification, but it's not there. So I'll show you a different one to complete the certification. Power BI, we have PL300 certification. I can guide you on that as well. Okay, so after completing this course, you all can attempt a PL300 certification. At this point, there are a very few PL300 certified professionals in the market. Okay, so if you have the certification, that gets you, edge a little, more advantage than others, right?
So why there are the certifications? People who have done they're very less now, like you said now. What's the reason for being them not able to do it?
Power BI certification, almost like 100 minutes duration exam, 1000 marks total, 700 is the cutoff, 70%. Okay. The challenge, I'll tell you, if it is Excel certifications for most of us, it's like easy. I'll tell you why. Because in Excel certification, you get the project-based questions along with Excel application inside the examination environment. Okay. So inside your exam itself, you will see Excel only, Excel application only. So you need to perform those steps to get the output. But the problem with PL 300 is it's not a project-based one. There will be a question and there will be MCQs. Okay. Read the question, understand it, and you need to choose the right option. Then you get a question like MCQs only, right? It's easy to select A, B, C, D. But the problem is A, B, C, D looks, all those options, they look very much similar. One minor tweak will be there. Okay. So you need to pick that point so that you can choose the right answer. But otherwise, all 4 options, they look correct only. That's the challenge. If it is like application and environment is there, then what is that you can do? You can perform that step and you can get that output. If the output is not matching, is not, you're not satisfied with the output, what is that you can do? You can reset the project and you can redo it. But PL 300 certification is not like that. I'll tell you one more thing. They give you a scenario. Okay. They say that, okay, you need to do this, do this, do this. Please arrange the following steps to get this, input as this output. They give us the images. You need to look at the images and there will be 5 steps. Out of that, you need to choose the 3 steps. And these 3 steps, you need to arrange them in the correct order. Without looking at the application, if you want to do this, without looking at the application, if you want to do this, you know what? How challenging it is. Unless you practice that thing for multiple number of times, remembering the sequence is not that easy. That's the reason most of the people, they struggle, but we have created a material around it. And if you can practice it for like 3 to 4 hours, you can easily clear that certification. Okay. Yeah. Fine then. So got some idea so far, what is it you're going to learn in the next 1.5 months? Okay. So first of all, we'll start with SQL and then we'll move on to Power BI. Why SQL is needed? Let me show you. I have some data in one of the SQL servers. Okay, let me just, I'll explain all these points. Okay. At this point, you may not have SQL server in your computer. How to start the server, how to stop the server. Why do we do this? I'll explain all these points. How to install this server. Perfect. In Excel also, we usually don't focus much, but we have a tab called data. We can get the data directly from one of the databases, SQL Server database. You just need to know your server name in your offices and all. They give you the server name and with an access, right? In my computer, I have a server name. I named it as KK Laptop and database is EMP. And I can write my SQL query directly here, right? In Excel, you would have learned how to get the data from a web page, how to get the data from a CSV, how to get a data from an Access database. Similarly, you can get the data from SQL Server database also, right? And if you're good with SQL queries, then directly you can write a query like this: select star from employee. Okay, consider that as E, join DEPT, consider this as D, on E.DEPT ID is equal to E.DEPT, D.DEPT ID. Right? And you can just directly trigger the query and you will get both employee and department details in one place. And I can say load it to the existing sheet A1 cell. So now you see whatever the data is present in my SQL database is now available here. right? Even if I delete this, I don't need to worry. Why? Because this data is not manually entered. This data directly coming from a SQL server using a connection. If I just refresh this, I'll get back those details. So whatever the updates are done in the database, I'll be able to directly see them here. The same technique is applicable here in Power BI as well. You can directly get the data from a database, same steps, right? A database and SQL Server database, and you can directly read the data from there. We just discussed, right? All these reporting tools are, reporting roles are data analyst roles. So what is that we need? We need that skill of reading the data from a database. Why? Because all our reporting layer applications, they require data to create the reports. And where is the data? Data is there in some database. And to interact with the database, what is the language that we need to use? SQL. Right. Let me turn this entire thing into a restaurant example so that you will understand easily. Okay. If I'm talking about more technical stuff, you may not be finding it so comfortable on the very first day. Just a second. Okay. Let's try to understand this. This is SQL restaurant where data gets served. Okay. So for any kind of a report, what is it we need? We need data, right? Consider a restaurant as a database. Okay. Restaurant, we have the physical building is there, contains everything is needed, organized system. In the database, we have the server environment. We have, that stores all the data, structure, storage, comparison I'm talking about. So before I take you through all these slides, let me just give you this example. Let's say you go to a restaurant, okay? Who are you to that restaurant? You're a customer, perfect. You visit the restaurant as a customer. In the database environment, if you consider restaurant as database environment, okay, database, you are a customer to the restaurant, right? In the database side, you are a client. You're a client. You go to the restaurant. Okay, you want to order food, okay? So how do you do that? You directly go to the kitchen, or you go to the manager, or you go to the head of that business and place the order? No. What is it you do? You need to, first of all, look at the menu. Perfect. In the menu, what is it you see?
List of items.
Items you see, right? List of items, right? Perfect. So those items in the SQL environment or the database environment, they are tables, views. Perfect. You understood the menu now, right? Now you need to place an order. Okay, with who you speak or you talk to? Waiter. Any other name for the waiter?
Offers in kind of board.
Any other name for the waiter? in the restaurant, we call that person as waiter. Any other synonyms for the waiter? See someone. Server, perfect. Server, someone who serves the food, right? We can call that person as a server who serves the food, right? Yeah. So in our the DB database environment example, there is a server. What is the job of the server? Take the request from the customer. Who is the customer here? Who is a client? So server takes the requirement or the request from the client, and client places a requirement or a request looking at that menu. In that menu, you have all the items there in the restaurant side. You have all the tables, views, and other things, other database objects inside that menu, okay? It's basically our database documentation, that menu. So there they talk about the table structure, what kind of tables are there, and what all the views are there, who can access what, all that. That's our menu card, okay? So we looked at that menu card as a customer or a client, and we place the request with server, right? And let's say you go to a Hyderabad restaurant, okay? And you need to talk to the server to place your request. Something like you want to get some biryani and some roti or something. You talk to that person in some language, right? Okay, what is the language you prefer? Hindi, Telugu, maybe English. But you start talking, to that person in German, okay? Will that server be able to understand? No. Let's say Spanish. No. Malayalam. No. Why? Because you are in a Hyderabad restaurant and most commonly used languages are Hindi, Telugu, English, but definitely not German or Spanish or any other, right? So that means you are using a language that is commonly understandable by both of you in this context, right? Similarly, in the database environment, if you need to talk to any server, you need to use a commonly understandable language, which is SQL, structured query language, right? So as a client, you need to talk to the server in a commonly understandable language, which is structured query language, SQL. That's the language you use there. In here, let's assume that we used Telugu. Server understood the requirement. In the database side, we use SQL. Server understands the requirement. Great. When it comes to the SQL or when it comes to Telugu, there are different accents and the variants in Telugu also. In English also, we have the same thing, right? Different variants and the other accents, right? Okay. In SQL also, we have different variants. TSQL, Transact SQL, Oracle SQL, MySQL variant. There are so many other SQL language variants also, but most of the servers, they can understand all these different variants. Even if you learn TSQL, okay, you can easily translate that into a MySQL code because most of the words are the commands and all, they sound very much similar. So while talking to a server, you need a language SQL, but there are different variants, like the language where accents are the variants that we have in spoken languages. Similarly, in SQL also, we have the variants. One of those variants that you are going to learn in this training program is a TSQL variant. You get a question, you are training us on TSQL, that's okay, but what if my client wants MySQL? I can give my own example here. When I learned Oracle SQL. When I started working with my client, I started working with MySQL. And I'm delivering the sessions on TSQL. What does it mean? All of them, they look very much similar. A few keywords here and there may be different, but majority of the stuff, it's same. You got the point? So you need to talk to the server there in a language that is understandable by both of you. Perfect. Now server received your request. In restaurant, your server receives the food related request. In SQL, the server receives the data related request. I'm only talking from the data analyst standpoint. There can be different types of requests. Security request can go, user related request can go, data manipulation request can go. But from the data analyst standpoint, I only talk about data analysis. That means a data extraction request. Done. You place your request with the server. Now, what is the job of the server? Stands there only, or no? What does that server do?
To the kitchen.
Goes to the kitchen. Perfect. Kitchen is a place where you have all the ingredients, right? Yes. Perfect. In the database environment, that's our database. That's our physical database. Where all the ingredients are there, they are our tables, they are our views, they are our security rules, and there are so many things. Right? Perfect. Goes there, places an order, right? Tells the order, and chef prepares it. Now you get the food ready there, right? And server comes back to your table and serves the food. Similarly, in our case, our data gets prepared there, right? So the chef, mixes all those things, right? Different ingredients. We use the tables, we use the joins, we use the filters, we use clauses, we use grouping, aggregations, functions, all those things together. We prepare that data set or a result set, you can say. That result set is served to you on the table, right? In the system. Now you're getting it. You as a client place the request to the server in a language which is commonly understandable SQL, and the server goes back to the database, gets your request processed, and gets the result set. And using that result set, we prepare the reports. Now you understand, right? We are working in a client and a server environment. Okay. So who is our server? Our server name is SQL Server, which is from Microsoft. Yeah. And our client name, right? In our example, we imagined ourselves as a client, but in our case, our client name is SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. Here you need to talk about applications only. Server is SQL Server and client is SQL Server Management Studio. So we try to use client application to interact with the server. How to install the client, how to install the server, we'll discuss. But you understood, right? The entire context. Okay. So now if you look at this, you can easily understand restaurant server, we have a database server. Restaurant server takes the orders and delivers the food. Database server processes the client request and returns the query results. Nothing but our data set or a result set, right? We get that result set. Manager, who is like an admin, oversees everything and has all the permissions. Okay, fine then. So kitchen versus the database. Kitchen, we have the kitchen layout, pantry storage, ingredients, and recipes. In the database, we have the tables, data in the tables, stored procedures, database schema, all these things, right? So you basically place an order, which is like a query. Server writes down, nothing but the query gets parsed. Kitchen prepares, nothing but the data gets processed. And finally, food is delivered, nothing but your result set or the data set is delivered to you. Right? Now you understand these people, different people? Yes? We have the select queries, insert, right? What is select? You are, ordering a specific thing to get it. Insert, adding new ingredients to the pantry, update, changing the recipe instructions, delete, removing expired items, something like that. You can think about this way, right? So yeah, we discussed all these things actually. Okay. Here we have the tables, the different kind of commands that are there, understand the ingredients, nothing but the tables and the relationships, practice cooking, while complex queries, okay, there are certain complex queries also we write. And yeah, create our own database recipes. We'll take you through step by step in the technical environment, okay? So using a client application SSMS, how to write that select queries, what is the menu there, how to read the tables, how to read the views, how to create the relationships between the tables, right? How to create a complex query, right? And how to fine tune the query. Different techniques are there. We'll talk about all those things. But you understood, right? What is that we are going to learn? Yeah. So there is a server. And we as a client, we pass a request, server understands it. And which language we need to use here? SQL. And which variant of SQL we are going to use here? TSQL, Transact SQL. Why Transact SQL only? Why? Because our server name is Microsoft SQL Server, and this server understands TSQL, right? If you are using a different server, MySQL server, MySQL server, then you need to use MySQL. Oracle servers, if you are using, you need to use Oracle SQL. Different variants are there. ANSI SQL is there, different variants of SQL is there. But yes, TSQL is enough for now, right? Even though you are working with any other SQL, you don't need to worry because commands, they remain same, almost. Okay, here we go. In our Microsoft SQL Server, the client name is SQL Server Management Studio. In MySQL Server, the client name is MySQL Workbench. We call it MySQL Workbench. MySQL Workbench is a client name. Okay, if you are using Oracle Server, then we use Todd as a client. Different clients are there. Client applications can be anything. The SQL variant can be anything. It depends on the requirement. You need to use different commands. Even though you are from TSQL background, writing the other variants of SQL is very easy because commands look, they're very much similar. Got some idea now, right? Yeah. Okay, first of all, as I said, we'll start with SQL and then we'll move on to Power BI. Okay. Most of you may have this question also, why should I learn SQL? What is the advantage? I can tell you my real-time experience, okay? We used to work with work in a data analysis team, which is into financial analytics, okay? We used to work in the afternoon shifts, 2 to 11 or 11 to 8 sometimes. Then client call used to happen in the evening time, somewhere around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Client used to give us the requirement. Let's say we are in 2 to 11 shift. Client call is at 8 o'clock in the night. Okay. So we used to attend the client calls. Client used to give us the requirement. Okay. We want this. We are from the data analysis background. That means we used to work with tools like Excel, SAP Crystal reports and all. So if it is like an Excel based requirement, we need to create the report in Excel. But for that Excel report, what is needed? Data is needed. And in the client call, we used to receive all the instructions. Okay, so what is needed and what needs to be filtered and all. After understanding the requirement, because we are not from the SQL background, right? We used to write an email to the IT team saying, okay, client has requested for so-and-so data set. So please, prepare this data set, and client is looking for the last 6 months data. They want to analyze these data points. Perfect. We used to write that when around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. 8 o'clock call was done, 8:30 call was done, and then 9:30 we used to write that email. IT team used to work in the day shift, 9 to 6. So when they will pick up this request, next day, 9 o'clock. They have 48 hours of SLA to pick up any of the requests. Okay. So 48 hours means it's not mandatory that unless it's like a priority request, it's not mandatory for them to pick up that request on the same day. They have the 48 hours. So if they can pick up the same day request also, let's assume that they picked up the request on the same day. Let's say Monday evening, our call was done. Okay. On Tuesday morning, IT team looked at it, right? Tuesday, they worked on it. Wednesday morning, they sent us the data. Let's assume. Okay. So what time we log in? Wednesday around 10 o'clock, they processed it. They got us the data. And 2 o'clock, we log in. We look at the data and start working on it. Evening, again, a call, and we say that, okay, today morning, we received this data and we started working on it. and tomorrow we'll share that report. Done. So we used to work on Wednesday. Thursday by afternoon, we are done. And send the report to the client in the afternoon itself. But client, what time client logs in? Around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the night. So they look at that. And they looking at this number itself, they can directly say that, okay, these numbers are not looking okay. Because they come from that business background, right? They know that, a number should range between 1 to 2. Then it must, be falling between that 1 to 2 range only. It cannot go beyond or cannot go lesser. Because they know exactly what's happening in the business, right? But they want to see exactly how much it is. But what if the data filters are incorrectly written there? Okay, so the moment the client sees it, says that, okay, this is not looking right. Yeah, and what time this call is? 8 o'clock. Let's say we logged in Thursday evening and client looked at the report and says that, okay, this data is not looking okay. Something went wrong, or some additional filters are used, or some required filters are removed from this. Okay, please can you check with the IT team? So what time this happened? Thursday evening, right? And then again, you need to go back to IT team, write an email saying that, looks like the data is not correct, and the client is saying the numbers are not falling within that range. So please can you verify what all filters you used? Thursday night we wrote. IT team logs in next day morning, Friday. They looked at it because now it's like an escalation and they will have to take it as a priority. They looked at it. They looked at the filters and they responded back around 11 o'clock saying, okay, hi team, we have used A, B, C, D filters, and this is how we ran the query, and this is the output we got, and this is the data. Then we look at the requirement and we question back around what? 2:30, because that time we log in. Question back saying, okay, how can you use filter C? You used A, B, C, D. Why did you use filter C to filter this data? Then the IT team responds back saying that, okay, it's a very common requirement and every time we use the filter C. So that's the reason in this query also we use the filter C. Okay, filters are the conditions basically. And why did you use that condition? Because it's a common requirement, right? That's the reason we use that C condition also. But in this particular client request, they asked us to remove filter C, though it is a default filter, default condition, okay? And then we request IT team, no, this is not like a very regular requirement and it is like a very specific requirement from the client. Please remove that additional condition, whatever you added, and run the report and say, give us the data. And then, yeah, great. Okay, around 4 o'clock, they sorted it out. They ran the report. And again, 5 o'clock, we got the data set and we started redesigning it. And finally, we were able to do it. And Friday evening, we showed the output and then client said, okay, it's fine. Monday, we started. See, all these things are the real-time challenges, okay? If there is a dependency with other teams, this much time it can take. Monday, a request came, and Friday evening, after so many iterations here and there, we were able to complete. What if the same data analytics team has SQL skill? Easy, the same story. Monday around 8 o'clock, we attended the call. 8:30 call was done. We got the requirement. 8:30, 9 o'clock, we can write the query, run it, get the data. No need to work on the same day. Next day logins, 2 o'clock, right? We got the data, start working with the report. And we did something wrong. Okay, still we understand. We did something wrong. 8 o'clock client logged in and said, okay, these numbers are not looking okay, and remove that filter C, that condition C. And then 8:30 call was over. We removed the condition and we ran the report around 9:30 or 10 o'clock. We got the data and we worked up to 11 o'clock, right? So we just insert all the data and we redesign the thing and we just share it with the client around 11 o'clock. But we log out, but client looked at it. Everything is fine, right? They're happy. Wednesday itself, it's done. Everything. Now you get it. Now, why I'm telling all these things, if you as a data analyst, if you have the SQL skill, you don't need to depend on others, right? To understand the data and generate the reports as per the requirements, reduce the dependency on other teams. You don't need to depend on other teams. You know the database, you know the SQL language, and you can write. You perform better than peers, and get recognized, be more employable. As an analyst, you know the requirement well. So that means you can write a better query than others because you gather the requirement, right? You know it well and you can write a better query and you can implement the complex functions in SQL very easily. And also it helps us to understand the data modeling concepts in Power BI, Tableau, ClickView, all these things, they use a similar kind of logics, like SQL, whatever we learn there, right? So what is a database? All these technical stuff I'll take you through. Okay, so how it looks, the entire environment. Just let me show you this, and with that I'll stop it for today. Just take a look at this. Yeah. Who is this? Who could be this? Right. This is a data analyst. In this case, it is a client using a data analyst using a client application. Right? We pass the query. Which kind of a query? In our case, we pass usually the data retrieval queries, and it hits the database server, database management system, DBMS, it's a server, okay? And the server job is to go to the physical database, get the required amount of data, and then show it on our screen. Once we get the data, we start developing the reports. That's what we do basically. Okay, we are a client, nothing but we are a data analyst, and we are using a client application here. What is our client application? I said SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. And we use a server. Which server is it? SQL Server. Which database we have? SQL database, right? Which kind of a query we can pass? We usually pass a data retrieval query, but it could be a data storage query, administration reports queries, data security related query. It could be anything. But we most of the times we pass the data retrieval query. Understood? So SQL language, you may be thinking it is complex, but it's not actually that complex. I'll include how to use ChatGPT to generate these SQL queries. I'll show you the first of all fundamentals of writing a query. We should be able to write our queries. Then ChatGPT or Copilot or any other stuff that you use, it should be like some supporting thing, but don't depend completely on that. You never know. What if your client stops you to use ChatGPT? Then it's not that easy, right? I'll write all these things manually. Then I'll also show you how you can implement these things in ChatGPT, right? To speed up the work. But basics and all, you only need to learn first. Don't completely depend on any of the AI models. What if, let's say, today you are able to do so many things with the help of these things, but in your company environment, they don't allow you to use ChatGPT kind of thing. Then you can't say like, okay, I can't write the queries right. So that means, first of all, you learn the concepts and then take the help of any AI, model and try to speed up the work, right? We do both of them. In Power BI also, I'll show you one session. I'll show you how to use ChatGPT. Okay. Fine then. Any questions so far? Okay. Fine then. So I'll take you through the certification process maybe once we are into Power BI. Then you can decide whether to go for it or not. Okay. Fine then. So tomorrow onwards, we are starting SQL sessions. Today, I think you got some clarity about what is it we are going to learn, right? Which variant of SQL are we going to use? Yes. TSQL, Transact SQL. What is our client name? SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. What is our server name? Microsoft SQL Server 2022. That is a version. 2022 developer edition will use. By the way, forgot to mention one more important point. None of these licenses you need to pay. For none of these licenses, you need to pay anything. Okay, we are going to use all the free softwares only from the official websites. From Microsoft website, we download Microsoft SQL Server 2022 developer edition, which is not meant for the production environment, only for the development, only for the testing and all. We can do that. And then Power BI also as a free user only, we use it. We don't need to buy any license for that. I'll show you the process how you can use Power BI as a free user. Done. Perfect. Online participants, any questions?
Hello,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
So I'm registered only for Power BI, sir. So then, what will be the timing every day to attend the classes?
Can you come again once, please?
So I registered for only Power BI, sir. So what are the best timings to attend the classes every day? Hello?
It's time
I'm
to
a-
attend the classes.
Yeah, sir.
I
I'm
mean,
registered morning, sir.
yeah, this batch is morning 7:30 to 9 o'clock. This is the time that we follow.
Okay. What will be the Power BI timing, sir?
It's in the morning time only.
Morning. Okay.
Yeah. Both SQL and Power BI same time slot.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Fine then. So let's catch up tomorrow. 7:40. Offline participants try to be here. Online participants join by 7:40, please.
Thanks, Keshav.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Great. So if you require any additional information, feel free to reach out to the front office. They will share the required details and all the materials will be uploaded to the Google Drive, and from there you can download it. And this video will be available for you all in shortly, in maybe a couple of hours later, and you can watch it. Of course, today is just like an awareness session. Nothing much there to learn, but tomorrow onwards, please practice. Yes, please.
What about the materials which you showed now?
Hmm.
Will it be given to us later?
Yes, it's the same material. We'll upload that into the Google Drive today itself. You will get the link to download. Yeah. And your batch number is B00696. Okay. B00696. And just in case if you require any kind of information, you just mention this batch number. Currently it is SQL batch B00696. And Power BI, you will get a different batch number. Okay. Done. So thanks everyone. I'll see you all in our tomorrow session. Bye. Bye everyone.